On this week's news, Red Bull is under the FIA spotlight, while Pierre Gasly is counting his lucky stars. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and click that bell so you never miss an update. Max Verstappen secured his second straight title at Suzuka on Sunday. But Red Bull was back in the spotlight on Monday after it was found guilty by the FIA of a minor breach on 2021's cost cap. Red Bull's potential overspend was leaked ahead of Singapore, along with Aston Martin, though the Green Team's breach was procedural. The energy drinks brand, however, did exceed the cap by less than 5%, or $7.25 million. The FIA is determining appropriate action, while Red Bull remains adamant it was under the cap. Verstappen is champion following his Japan win, while Red Bull is able to claim the Constructors' title at the next round in Austin.
I think overall, over the whole season, we have been the best team. And yeah, that is, of course, it's been so far a great season. A lot of good moments, good wins.
A controversial interpretation of the regulations in Japan saw full points awarded, despite just 28 laps completed. Japan was a big round for news, with Pierre Gasly's move to Alpine from 2023 announced and his replacement at AlphaTauri, Dutchman Nick de Vries, also confirmed, both on multi-year deals. Gasly, however, left Suzuka happy to be alive, following a near miss with a crane truck during red flag conditions. He was understandably shaken up, given countryman Jules Bianchi had died following contact with one there in 2014. Gasly was later penalized for speeding. "I passed 2 meters from that crane, and if I was 2 meters to the left, I would have been dead," he said. Charles Leclerc has revealed he knew in Belgium that he would not win the World Championship this year, given his Ferrari team's pace deficit there to rival Red Bull. Leclerc started the 2022 season with promise, care of his 2 wins from the first 3 races, putting him an impressive 46 points ahead of Red Bull's Max Verstappen. But while a host of mistakes and reliability issues put Leclerc behind the Dutchman, Belgium saw Verstappen in a league of his own, in qualifying, where he was 0.6 of a second faster than Carlos Sainz, and in the race, where he won from 14th on the grid for a 98-point advantage. We saw that gap in performance between us and Red Bull at Spa, a gap we had never seen in the first part of the year, so I knew it was going to be very difficult, he said. Yuki Tsunoda said racing at Suzuka was a dream come true for him, with the 22-year-old admitting he was, until recently, just a fan in the stands. Tsunoda, who is confirmed at Red Bull's sister team AlphaTauri for 2023, expected to enjoy his maiden home F1 run pre-event, despite finishing where he started in Sunday's Japanese Grand Prix, an unlucky 13th.
3 to 4 years ago, I was watching from the second corner as a spectator at Suzuka Circuit, so I had never thought that I would be able to participate in an F1 race at Suzuka 4 years later, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Tsunoda was upset that he couldn't race at iconic F1 circuit Suzuka in his rookie season last year, with the past 2 events cancelled, but loved the chance to return as a Honda protege.
Unfortunately, the Japanese Formula One Grand Prix last year was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which was a real disappointment for me. I'm sure you've all been under a lot of stress, but I was also quite devastated myself.
Honda strengthened its commitment to Red Bull's 2 teams ahead of its home event. With its corporate logo back on all 4 cars, Checo selected as an ambassador, and both teams attending the company's end-of-year Thanks Day event held after the season. Seven-time F1 world champion Sir Lewis Hamilton says he expects to remain racing in F1 beyond 2023, when his current deal with Mercedes ends, also suggesting a lifelong role with the German Merc is what he will go for once he hangs up his helmet. Hamilton, racing in his 16th season at the pinnacle of motorsport, wants that elusive 8th F1 world title that would put him one above the great Michael Schumacher and add to his titanic win and pole records. And he's got no intentions of giving up on that goal. I plan on staying longer. It's just not set in stone how long, he said. Hamilton has allegedly told Mercedes boss Toto Wolff he could go on for another 5 years, with the Briton admitting in Suzuka he's feeling good and not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. Four-time F1 world champion Sebastian Vettel will retire from the sport at the end of the year after 15 seasons at the top. But the Aston Martin racer says he would be open to a future one-off comeback at Suzuka. Vettel's plans post-F1 are yet to be revealed, beyond spending more time with his family. But the 35-year-old would not be short of options should he want to get back behind the wheel, with other major series like IndyCar already offering him tests. And Vettel, a Suzuka specialist who has won the Japanese Grand Prix 4 times, would love to return to the hallowed track, whether for Super Formula and Super GT races, or even F1. Maybe one of the guys in the future who races here will feel a bit sick. I don't know. I don't wish them to feel so, but I wouldn't mind jumping back in for a race in Suzuka at any time, he said. Mercedes Chief Technical Officer James Allison says there is still a chance that the Silver Arrows can win a race this season, based on its Singapore pace, but that the beleaguered squad will only be happy once it returns to knowing it can win every weekend. Mercedes is on course for its first winless season since 2011, but even a single win wouldn't satisfy, says Allison, even though it's shown at certain points it's had the pace, but not the circumstances for success.
I think all of us in the team, and I'm sure all of you who are fans of the team, would be happy with that, but not content, because we will only be properly happy, properly content, when we have a car that's able to win from the front by rights each weekend that we put it on a track.
Allison was disappointed by Mercedes' lost opportunity in Singapore, but his assessment could have also explained much of the Silver Arrows 2022 season, given the consistent woes from its W13.
And a machine that is not delivering you the happiness that you thought you would have, but instead is just meting out pain lap after lap after lap as you watch sort of rather helplessly trapped by it and the victim of it until the race reaches its conclusion.
Ex-Minardi F1 team owner Paul Stoddart has underlined the talent of his former driver Fernando Alonso, who he says could be ahead of Hamilton on titles had luck gone his way across his career. Stoddart bought Minardi in 2000, with just 6 weeks and 3 days until the opening race in Australia, and only a wooden chassis mock-up at its Faenza base to begin with. But Stoddart's purchase came with test driver Fernando Alonso, who he said in a chat with Australian Grand Prix podcast In the Fast Lane, was always destined for F1 greatness.
I knew very quickly that we had a future world champion on our hands if he ever got into the right equipment, and that everything he did was to get much more out of a dog of a car than that car deserved. He could wring its neck, he could get points, or not points, but he could get finishes where the car really shouldn't have finished, and it just followed him all the way through his career.
Former F1 Supremo Bernie Eccleston was back in the news last week, with the 91-year-old set to face trial in October next year over an alleged failure to declare almost £400 million in overseas assets. Eccleston appeared at Southwark Crown Court last Tuesday, charged with a single count of fraud by false representation. Eccleston, who wasn't asked to formally enter a plea, denied in August allegations he failed to declare a trust in Singapore, with a bank account containing around $650 million as part of a complex and worldwide investigation by the United Kingdom's HM Revenue and Customs Authority, which would have allowed the business magnate to draw a line under any previous tax irregularities. Eccleston will return to court in October next year for what's expected to be a 6-week trial, though the judge stated he may not be required to be present throughout. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.